Hey, good morning. Meteorologist Scott Pillier here with your Atlantic Tropics Outlook and discussion for June 17th, 2021. Still continuing to track Invest 92L this morning in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Truthfully, a big old lopsided, disorganized mess this morning, but showing some subtle signs of organization. So we're going to talk all about this system and the potential impacts that it could bring parts of the Gulf Coast for this Father's Day weekend. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or basically anything regarding the tropics, you can leave a comment or a question in the video below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We're going to be doing YouTube videos throughout hurricane season. Hopefully, less videos with less activity than last year. All right, let's talk about this disturbance. We've got the system that is, again, looking a little bit more organized this morning. This is our visible satellite animation, the geocolor image, and it's a really stunning image to watch it play out as the sun came up this morning. But there is some things to take away from this satellite image. We have a spin here, obviously. You can see the clouds streaming in from the north and east, north of the circulation, and then all these thunderstorms moving from the southwest to the south of the circulation. And somewhere in here, we've got a circulation that is trying to develop. It's kind of elliptical or elongated, whatever word you want to describe. It is still a big old mess. However, there are some things that I think are pretty interesting about this satellite animation. If you look close, there's a cluster of storms here with some inflow to it. I think this is a small, what we call low-level circulation, or LLC. And typically that is kind of the incipient low that can spawn a tropical depression or eventually tropical storm. However, if you look a little bit closer, you might get your eye caught up over here, where we have this big blow up of thunderstorms on the eastern side of the system. That's where much of the rough weather is located. You'll notice that it basically has little of any thunderstorms on the north and western side due to some dry air and some wind shear. Well, what we call this kind of right-hand side low, I believe this is what we have, an MLC, or a mid-level circulation that is trying to develop here. And I've been looking at some of our latest OBS from this region, and it basically confirms that we've got a mid-level low on the right-hand side and a low-level low on the western side. More often than not, in this type of a setup, with all of the thunderstorm action heavily weighted on the eastern side, this low, closer to the storms, usually becomes the more dominant feature associated with this. And again, bottom line from this, I do not expect this to rapidly organize or strengthen in any formidable fashion. It could become a tropical storm, and the name would be Claudette. But again, this looks to be known for its rain, and this whole rain shield is going to be moving up towards the north, whether it's from parts of southeast Louisiana towards the Florida Panhandle. This is the general region to watch out for heavy rainfall and flash flood potential as we head into the weekend, starting as early as tomorrow. So again, let's go talk about the latest from the National Hurricane Center. 90% chance that we see development within this region within the next 48 hours. Hurricane hunters are scheduled to go investigate the system late this morning and into the early afternoon. So that will provide us with some much needed data about the internal structure with regards to this system, as well as the classification. I think that it is possible we either see this get dubbed subtropical or tropical depression number 3 later today as a result of its organization. It is still very broad, but it's possible that they find enough organization to classify this. Looking at wind shear, we still have quite a bit of wind shear that is impacting on this system. Again, it's looking at right now between 15 to 25 knots of wind shear, and I'll outline this for you, kind of a complex map because my toolbar is so gigantic. But again, the low is right about here, let's say, and you can see this area of red and yellow. That indicates wind shear of 15 to 25 knots, maybe even a little bit higher on the north side of the system from the southwest. So again, the reason that much of the rough weather associated with our tropical disturbance is on the eastern side, is because we've got southwest wind shear. So that low right about here is going to continue to keep all of the rough weather mainly east of the circulation as it lifts towards the north, towards the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida coastlines through the course of the weekend. Again, main concern with this system doesn't look to be wind. Certainly there could be some coastal flooding associated with this on parts of southeast Louisiana and Mississippi's coast, but primary threat is going to be for heavy rainfall. Let me show you the latest GFS forecast model, and I'll start the clock right at the very beginning. So again, right now, present time, what we have is the area of disturbed weather with much of the thunderstorm action located on the eastern side. Remember, like so. And watch what the GFS forecast model, the American-based model, does. As we go through the day today, you see what starts to happen? See this new low pressure center, the old low pressure center, somewhere in this general vicinity down here. Well, by the middle of today and into this evening, a new low pressure center on the GFS starts to organize somewhat north of the Yucatan, closer to the thunderstorm action. As we go through the overnight tonight, we start to see the system move north, and notice this batch of rain that starts to advance. This is Friday morning at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on Friday morning, we start to see that rain moving towards the coastline. Again, there could be some coastal flooding in this region, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet, I would expect, with this type of a system. Weak tropical storm, more than likely, or just a depression. But regardless, and some breezy winds and an isolated tornado threat. But I think, again, primary risk is going to be for heavy rain. And it still remains to be seen. If this comes a little bit closer like this, the heaviest rain could actually stay away from southeast Louisiana and the New Orleans metro. For my folks that are watching from Acadiana and western Louisiana, there are still some forecast models that bring the system, the center of the system that is, closer your way Friday night and into Saturday. But again, that would still keep much of the rough weather in this region. So again, goes without saying, forecast models can still certainly change until we actually get a organized center of circulation. And the truth is, y'all, we may never see this organized enough to really get much thunderstorm action near the center, so it'll just be keeping an eye out for where that batch of rain sets up. By the time we get to Saturday morning, the system on the GFS makes a landfall close towards Terrebonne Parish near Cocodrie, and that still keeps the worst weather away from the New Orleans metro and into parts of basically South Mississippi, South Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. In terms of rainfall from the Weather Prediction Center, they are still showcasing that track somewhat like this with the disturbance, and that puts 5 to 8 inches of rain, localized amounts from New Orleans to Buras and Boothville, Slidell. Look at the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That's the hot spot on the Weather Prediction Center, where they show 8 to 10 inches of rain possible for South Mississippi Friday through Sunday. So again, it's all going to depend on the track. There are still some kind of, I guess I would call it, discrepancies between the forecast models. Again, if the system was to take a more westerly track like so, that would put heavier rain back closer towards southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi. If it ended up taking that more easterly track closer towards New Orleans, that would again take much of the rough weather east of the New Orleans metro. Does that make sense? Highly sheared system, lopsided, worst weather is going to be east of wherever it comes on shore, and we're just going to have to watch for where those heavy rain bands set up. Obviously, 2 to 5 inches of rain isn't the end of the world. We can handle that. We see more than that in, a heavy April cold front, right? It's the 6 to 8 inches of rain in a short period of time that can definitely cause bigger flash flood problems, and we'll be keeping an eye out for where those bands set up Friday into Saturday and even into early Sunday as we continue to track this system. So for now, looking at the disturbance, it's still lopsided, but a whole lot of moisture on that eastern side. You can see that plume of moisture that is streaming its way north. And that's what we're going to be watching for on this Father's Day weekend, is where those heavy rain bands set up. I'll have another update later this afternoon and evening when we get that data from the hurricane hunters later today when they investigate our still lopsided system that we've been tracking this week. But for now, have a great rest of your Thursday, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll have another video coming up later today. Bye, y'all.